This exercise is basically a free heart scan. A Harvard study tracked over 1,100 men for 10 years and found that those who could do 40 or more push-ups had a 96% lower risk of cardiovascular events than those who could only do 10 or fewer. And here's the part that stopped me cold. Push-up capacity was more strongly associated with cardiovascular disease risk than the results of a submaximal treadmill test. The push-up, the thing you did in middle school gym class, beat a formal cardio test at predicting heart attacks. So I decided to do 100 of them every day for 30 days straight and actually track what happened. And I need to warn you up front, some of what I found out completely changed how I think about this challenge. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is the one almost nobody doing this challenge ever figures out. Here's what this video is about. You've probably seen a dozen 100 push-ups a day videos. Guy does the challenge, posts a before and after, looks slightly more jacked, says it changed his life. What most of those videos don't cover is the actual science of why the number 100 is kind of misleading, why your results depend almost entirely on something other than the count, and what this kind of daily training actually does to your body over 30 days. I've gone through the research, I ran the experiment on myself, and I'm going to give you the real picture, the stuff that makes the difference between doing this challenge and actually getting something out of it. Let's start with the thing that surprised me the most, and it's not what you'd expect. Your wrists give out before your chest does. Seriously. When most people imagine failing at 100 push-ups a day, they picture their chest or triceps just giving up. But the real limiter, the reason most people quietly quit this challenge around week 2, is joint pain. Every single rep forces your wrist into about 90 degrees of loaded extension. Do that 100 times a day, 30 days in a row, and your wrists start talking back to you. Then your elbows join in, specifically the inside of the elbow, where the triceps tendon attaches, which is exactly where a golfer's elbow develops. The muscle wasn't the weak link, the connective tissue was. So if you're going to do this challenge, the single most important thing you can do before day 1 is spend 5 minutes on wrist circles, wrist stretches, and slow-tempo push-ups to prep the joint, not the muscle. That's the part nobody puts in the thumbnail. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this connects to something I want you to hold on to until the end of the video. The number 100 is kind of a trap, and I mean that in a specific scientific way. Because of how your nervous system recruits muscle fibers, something called the size principle, your body works through the smaller, easier-to-fatigue fibers first, and only calls in the big growth-prone fibers once things get genuinely hard. The size principle of motor unit recruitment means the bigger motor units with the more growth-prone type 2 muscle fibers only kick in. Later as needed, once fatigue accumulates and the smaller units can no longer handle the load. What that means practically is that with every repetition, more motor units are called into action, and by the final few reps, your nervous system is recruiting the same high-threshold motor units that would have been activated almost immediately with a much heavier weight, the reps where the greatest number of muscle fibers are actually working. So in a set of 100 push-ups, roughly the first 70 to 80 reps are just the tax you pay to get to the reps that actually matter. Which raises an obvious question. If you spread those 100 reps across the day, 10 sets of 10, never getting close to failure, are you getting the same result? The answer is no, and this is where Pavel Tsatsoulin's grease the groove principle comes in. His argument is that strength is a skill, and practicing a movement fresh and frequently builds more strength than grinding one exhausting set because your form stays clean and your nervous system gets more quality practice. Same total reps, completely different stimulus. The grease the groove approach wins on skill and strength. The one-shot set of 100 wins on muscle stimulus, but only if you're actually pushing close to failure at the end. If you're breezing through all 100 with reps left in the tank, you're getting neither benefit fully. I want to come back to that because it connects directly to the thing at the end of this video that most people doing this challenge completely miss. Around day 10, something weird happened. The soreness just stopped. Not because I was doing less work, I was doing the same 100 reps, but because of something called the repeated bout effect. After the first 1 to 2 weeks of consistent training, Your muscles build a kind of damage protection. They adapt to the specific stress and stop breaking down as hard. And here's the thing. Most people interpret no soreness as no results. That's backwards. The adaptation doesn't stop when the soreness does. Strength and endurance were still climbing through week 3 and 4, even though I felt completely fine the morning after. If you quit the challenge at day 12 because you stopped feeling it, you quit right before the real work started. Now let's talk about what actually changes in your body and what doesn't. Because one of the most common reasons people do a 100 push-ups challenge is they want to look different. And I have to be straight with you on two things. First, the calorie burn. 100 push-ups burns somewhere between 30 and 50 calories total. That's less than half a banana. If you're doing this hoping to lose fat, the math just doesn't work. Push-ups are a resistance training tool, not a fat loss tool. The challenge won't touch your body fat in any meaningful way on its own. Second, and this one's important if you're planning a before and after photo, the pump you see right after a workout is partially an illusion. It's sarcoplasmic swelling, fluid rushing into the muscle after training, and it deflates within an hour or two. Any honest before and after has to be shot cold, same time of day, ideally first thing in the morning, or you're not measuring muscle, you're measuring water. Here's what does change, and it's something a bench press literally cannot give you. At the top of a push-up, your shoulder blades spread apart. That's called scapular protraction, and it fires the serratus anterior, the muscle that runs along your ribs and gives that serrated athletic look along the side of your torso. On a bench press, your shoulder blades are pinned flat against the pad, so that muscle stays almost completely switched off. 30 days of push-ups build something that a lifetime of benching skips entirely. That's not a small detail. That muscle matters for shoulder health, for posture, and for the kind of upper body definition that actually looks good from the side. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, drop a comment below. Tell me how many push-ups you can do right now, cold, no warm-up. I'm genuinely curious where people are starting from, and it helps the algorithm get this video to people who actually need it. If you want to go deeper on building muscle with body weight only, I've got a video on that right here that you'll want to watch next. Okay, here's the thing I've been holding back since the beginning. The reason the number 100 is the hook, but the number is not actually the variable that determines your results. Tempo is. Specifically, the lowering phase, the eccentric portion of the rep. That's where the majority of muscle damage and tendon adaptation happens. When you lower yourself slowly, under control, you're creating more mechanical tension across more muscle fibers for longer. Someone doing 40 push-ups with a 3-second negative, meaning they take 3 full seconds to lower themselves each rep, will often outstimulate someone rushing through 100. Same exercise, completely different result. And this is why you can watch someone bang out 100 push-ups in 4 minutes and still fail a single slow, deep, paused rep. Because strength is directional, you only get strong in the exact range and speed you train hardest. Rush the bottom of every rep for 30 days and the bottom of the rep never improves. The sticking point stays weak on purpose because you never actually trained it. So here's what 30 days actually taught me, and I want to bring this back to where we started. Push-ups are not just a chest exercise. Push-up capacity turned out to be one of the sharpest predictors of who would go on to develop coronary artery disease, heart failure, or suffer sudden cardiac death. In that Harvard study, and the reason is that push-up capacity reflects total body muscular fitness, not just upper body strength. 30 days of this challenge improved my endurance, improved my shoulder stability through that serratus anterior activation, and genuinely moved my cardiovascular fitness marker in the right direction. But the chest gains were modest. Because I wasn't controlling tempo, I was controlling count. The number is the hook, the tempo is the variable, the joints are the real limiter. And the soreness stopping doesn't mean the results stopped. It means you finally got past the break-in period and into actual adaptation. If you want to run this challenge and actually get something out of it, slow the reps down, prep your wrists, and stop counting reps and start counting hard reps, the ones where you're genuinely grinding. That's the version of this challenge that holds up. Now go watch that bodyweight muscle building video. It picks up exactly where this one leaves off.